If you try to draw more energy than what a normal generator can provide, it's going to heat up and break. When John attempted to draw more power than what the SEG could provide, it got so cold, flooded with so much energy, that it became superconductive, developed its own magnetic or electric field, and actually flew away, never to be seen again.
And really, that's what distinguishes the generator from this technology, is that we never allow the SEG to go superconductor, because then you manifest this other effect. So if you want to keep it as a generator, we have to limit the currents. Now, so if it's a 15 kilowatt generator, we have conventional circuitry that will limit the currents, so that you can keep your generator.
So John used ham radio to remotely control what he called a levity disk. John Searl prefers the term inverse gravity as opposed to anti-gravity. You're not canceling or negating gravity, but you are inversing its function. So whereas we are being pushed to the Earth currently, the Earth then pushes us away. The U.S. Air Force even sent letters requesting that John Searl send his work to their Propulsion and Energy Research Department. Here's a letter from a George Eulig from the U.S. Air Force detailing that they are interested in what he called a disc-shaped type of flying craft, and at no charge to the government. If he could send all of the information to them, they'd really appreciate that. John successfully flew his inverse gravity vehicle, or IGV, in front of many witnesses, including the BBC News. The BBC ran weekly pieces on John Searl's work in progress for almost a year. These television broadcasts showed the levity disk in flight and gave updates on the work being done to build a large craft. What happened to Professor John Searl's work? Most of John Searl's original work was destroyed by fire while he was out of town for a few days. All of his belongings were gathered up on the front yard and burned with the aid of police supervision. The home where John conducted, where he lived when he conducted these original experiments has since been bulldozed and demolished. It took years for him to acquire enough support and try to pick up where he left off time and time again. In 2003, John had poison put in his drink by people who said they wanted to invest. And in 2005, all the equipment you see here and more that you don't see in this picture was stolen from his home. Gone. So the paradox is that people say to John, once you rebuild your technology as you did before, then I'll fund you. That's like telling a chef, bake your cake first and then I'll give you the ingredients. You can't until you have equal to what you did to build it before. So in order to rebuild the working SEG, John needs funding, resources, and an infrastructure equal to what he had at the electric company. So he started from the top, but today we have to work from the ground up and acquire everything again. And that's what we have done, is to help facilitate this information and getting to people who have done their homework. And the investors who have done their homework have made it possible to acquire our research and development facility here in Southern California, and to also get some of the industrial equipment needed to press these magnets together and imprint these waves. Because it takes a lot of electronic equipment and some serious hardware. So what we have here is the SEG mock-up. The mock-up, the charges are coming from the coils, which are located on the outer rim, and through induction, they are going from the coils to the core. So there is a gap between this stator ring and the coil. These little magnets are in between there. So as the charge goes through that gap, it makes the magnet spin. This is not producing power. This is not free energy right here. This is not converting heat to electricity. There are regular magnets in this setup. So people have to address that. They have to realize that, because people on the internet, they have misconceptions about what they're looking at. So we're trying to clear
what we
that.
have here is demonstration or proof of concept, and a way to evaluate and demonstrate that the SEG does have a rotor and stator relationship, and the magnetic orientations are also correct if you're an engineer. The magnetic orientation is along the axis. You see the rotation is 90 degrees to that. Therefore, the electric field are radial, which is the way John Searl has always described it. That is encouraging, that's proof of concept, and we can learn from that and move on. And we can also demonstrate it. It's fine to talk about it, it's great to show it, and that's what you're seeing here. What the SEG does is have the rotors rotating in a unique design. And it is correct in terms of engineering. It does have a motor and generator principle. It just looks different. It's an out-of-the-box design.
The mock-up is a demonstration tool to show that indeed the rollers will spin and orbit the stator as an electric charge goes through that gap. In this mock-up, the charge is coming from a standard battery through the coils. In the prototype, the charge is coming from the surrounding environment and is going to the coils. Mock-up being fed power, prototype feeds power. Mock-up has regular magnets, prototype has the specially magnetized materials. Let's see, another function of the mock-up is to show basic magnetic interactions that the parts don't want to touch and that they will remain equidistant to each other.
What you see right now, it's one of those attributes and brilliance in design is that not only are the rollers on track, but they're also equally spacing themselves. So you see this multi-functions working together in this design. And that's what I keep discovering the more I research it. Unique effects working together.
The basis of our civilization is based on energy. And it's a big problem at this stage. It is compromising the environment, the way we're harnessing energy. The SEG offers a solution to this problem in a manner that does not compromise the environment. That's why we see Searl Magnetics as a venture that is not only economical, but it's also a humanitarian project.
On other planets such as Mars, scientists use high-frequency beams of energy to light their homes and turn their motors. And rays are beamed directly to these homes and industries without wires. You might think of this the next time you see some of those high power line poles and their masses of wires hanging from them. These ugly contraptions still clutter up our streets and highways, despite more practical and obvious means of distributing electricity. Some of our larger cities have begun to use underground wire systems. At least these are hidden. However, it remains for the future generations to cut down and eliminate much of this vast, useless, and unnecessary method of distribution by substituting radiation systems of high energy beams. But this is all part of that progressive evolution into which mankind has entered, an evolution called in the Bible the millennium, and which in its parabolic form means the destruction of the old material world, not by a holocaust of flame and fire, but by a gradual 1,000 or more year period or cycle, wherein the future generations and races of mankind will learn of and use the more advanced technocracy which he will find in understanding this cosmic hysteresis which we have described to you.